Greetings, it's Dr. Annette, publishing pusher, the all-the-body place of encouragement, cultural empowerment. Weekly, she'll engage conversations with entrepreneurs and creators. And these insightful interviews are designed to help us build our businesses, respective brands, ourselves, and to hopefully propel us to that next level of greatness. Big boss. So with no time to waste time, it's officially go time.
Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Annette again. I hope that everyone has been having a fabulous week since the last episode of Dr. Annette, Publishing Pusher. Listen, we just come together to chat just a little bit. I'm excited. Y'all probably say she get excited every time she come on here. But let me tell y'all, I am excited to have Patricia Jackson with me on today. Hi, Patricia.
Hi, Dr. Annette. I'm excited to be on with you today. What a privilege it is to just be here this morning. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Well, we talk about a lot of things here. Yeah, we want to get up in your business. Here. I'm just telling you, I really want people to walk away knowing not just that you have a book, but knowing about you, who you represent, what you do in this world, in your business ventures, in the kingdom. And really, it's all kingdom work anyway. We just have different terminology that we use to kind of clarify things for those who are listening in. So Absolutely. On today, Patricia, when I looked at your bio, I was like, she kind of reminds me of me. When I was looking at some of the things that you had going on. Now, we're going to talk about your book, but I would like for you to just start out and tell us, so we can get a little comfortable knowing you. Who are you? And how did you get to where you are today?
Oh, wow. Well, I can, let me start with the ending before the beginning. I am where I am today because of Christ, that I know. I've gone through a lot, and in my writings, different books, I share my background. I am what people would say, just a little country girl who grew up rolling tires down a little dirt road, playing and doing all that. But you know, I'm a kid of poverty. I was literally born into poverty. But you know, Dr. Annette, I often looked at my situation, and I knew that God had more, and so I strived for more, and here I am today. But I have been through so much. I am an author. I'm a mother, great grandmother. And of course, I am a belief coach as well as a pastor. And I have been pastoring. We will be celebrating 26 years, I'm sorry, October the 28th, the fifth Sunday in October, we will be celebrating 25 years of pastoral. I grew up in the church. My mother was what they call a deaconess. And so her and my dad drug us to church every Sunday. So it's in my blood, it's in my DNA. And so I always knew about God. And so I was taught that in order to get to this place in life, that I had to lean and depend on Him. And that for me was prayer. And to talk to this being that I have not seen, but I can say I have sensed and felt Him, and asking Him to work in my life. I didn't know the plan that He had for me, although I knew at some point that where I was not what He wanted for me. And so I stumbled upon this scripture, Jeremiah 29:11. And it said that I know the plans that I have for you. And so I began to meditate on that particular scripture and say, okay, so what is this plan that you have for me? Went all the way through high school, honor roll student, knew that there was something there, got a scholarship, went off to college, left home for the very first time, had never ventured out anywhere, went out and learned some things from, from my peers and realized that life had more. And so upon that, started working for the state, um, got into an abusive marriage, got out of that, married a beautiful man. We've been married 29 years. Ministry was always in me. So with ministry always being in me, that ability and that love to help somebody was always there. And so I realized that I got into the social work arena, and I'm still in the social work arena because as a belief coach, as a pastor, as a writer, you know, I'm still helping people to reform their lives, because one thing I didn't ever want to do is forget where I came from. And then I look at those that are around me and in my surroundings that needed help. So I started outreach ministry, after school program. I've done it all, I've done so much. And so helping to build lives is what I believe that I am all about. God told me through prayer and meditation that my voice was a voice to the nation. So I'm projecting, didn't quite understand where that would lead me. In this age, I am now just understanding what that meant, that my voice is a voice to the nation, which means that social media wasn't on the horizon at that time when he spoke it to me, but I'm looking at where I am now. My voice is everywhere at this point. Bible Truth Live is another one of those broadcasts that came out of my lineage and out of my ministry that God has given to me. So being um, I would say a mother first, a pastor's wife, a coach, a grandmother, wearing all those multiple hats. Now I'm here to help people. I'm just a vessel, I believe, that is yielding herself to be used by God, if I could just sum it all up. And I know I went around, but at the end of the day, that's what I am, a vessel that God can use.
You know, Patricia, as you were talking, I thought about the virtuous woman in the Bible and all of the many things that the scriptures say that she was able to do. Were you able to do those things on your own? Or I know you had the Lord, but did you have to have a network of people to be able to accomplish the things that you've done?
I thank God for that. Yes, yes, yes. There were people who believe in me, and there are people today that say you can do anything. But I try to let them know that there are so many people behind the scene that you don't get to meet. You don't know those folks that have helped me along the way, those folks that have seen my highs, my lows, my good days, my not so good days, the good in me, the bad in me, and the ugly in me. So there is a multitude of people that have helped me along the journey. So I'm always careful to give them, that their accolades, because I could not have done all of the things that I do without those people. Even in all of the preachers' wives. There are people who were good for me that was along the journey. There were people that were not so good along the journey. And I believe that whether you imparted good or bad, you pushed me to the place that I am today. And so I thank God for them, even the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent, because everybody is responsible to get you there,
Yeah,
So,
I like that. That's one of the things that I say, whether good or bad, you should be able to learn something from it as you
yeah.
move forward. So I love the things that you are doing. You're multifaceted, which is a great thing. Like the Proverbs 31 woman, but I want people to understand when it comes to the Proverbs 31 woman, she didn't do it on her own. When you read it, it sounds like she did, but she had staff, she had support,
Yes.
she had workers. That's why, because I don't want y'all to get burned out trying to do
Come
it.
on. Yeah.
Don't get burnt out, okay?
No, and I say this, and I just told a colleague of mine that yesterday. I said, no man is an island. We could never do what we do had it not been for what I consider them to be destiny helpers. Those people that do those things that sometimes even you can't do, because God gives vision, but he also gives provision. And sometimes that comes in the form of monetary, and it comes in the form of people. So whenever God gives vision, look for the provision. Don't be so quick to say, oh, that person does not belong in my life. That person is not helpful, because you never know. If someone is presented to you, go into that place of, is this a reason that they're sent, a season that they're sent, or a lifetime? And we have those people that are with us along this journey for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And sometimes we don't embrace it in those categories, and that's when the fallout comes. We don't know that there are people that are going to do that assignment and walk away. Doesn't mean that they're not for you. It's just that God had assigned them for that particular project. So I've learned that. Now, did I learn that right away? No, I have made some mistakes in that, wanting to keep those people near and dear when I was supposed to let them go. So we have to realize what season we're in and the reason that they're there. Yeah.
So it sounds like another thing that when we understand it, we won't be stressed out about it.
Exactly. We won't get our feelings hurt.
Yes, that seasons for all things is very important for us. The first episode this season was stepping forward. The last episode in the season 3 was stepping back.
Wow.
Seasons. And how long is that season? We don't know. When we're moving in it, we don't know. It might be short, it might be long. We just have to keep our focus and posture on the Lord.
Right. Yeah, we have, and that's why it is so important to maintain that communication with him. I was telling my husband this morning, as a matter of fact, and I'll share this on this broadcast. I had done this live broadcast. It's called Bible Truth Live for 7 years. I'm in my 8th year right now. When I first started the broadcast, I was on every day at 7:30 in the morning. Now, after COVID, it moved to 2 days a week. And I was telling my husband, the zeal for that is no more. It's, that I'm going to come on one day. And I believe that God has moved me into another area. So we have to realize seasons. Nothing comes to stay. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Nothing comes to stay, but we're blessed in them all. And we have to understand that what season we're in, when God says to go, when God says to stop, and be obedient in that category. And I'm learning again, because if you don't, then that's when you mess up. Even in I had an outreach program, a daycare, right? And nobody could understand why I was moving forward and leaving that behind. I could never do what I'm doing now with that responsibility that I had. So knowing when to let go is so important, Dr. Annette. Yeah.
Yes, that's good. No, remember that, y'all. Knowing when to let go.
Yes.
I'm trying to hold on to stuff that's not good for you. It might have been good for you yesterday. It's not good for you today. And if you keep on holding on to you, it's going to take you to a different arena in your life where you're not supposed to be tomorrow. So thank you so much for that, Patricia Jackson. So Patricia, now I want to talk a little bit about, I know you have different books and workbooks and things, but let's talk about the book you want to share today.
The book I'd like to share today is called Can You Handle My Truth? And it's an ebook. It is an ebook, and it's available. But in that ebook, I share my journey as a pastor's wife. I also share my journey of the ups and downs as a pastor's wife. Sometimes people look at pastors' wives and we see hair, clothing, stilettos, we see the house, the car, we see all of that, and we think that this person life is so grandiose, if I could use that word, but it's not always like that. There is a certain persona that God graced us to give off, because he wants us to be that approachable vessel. But sometimes we're going through as well. And so we've broken the silence. It was 20 women and myself in a previous book. And I pulled my chapter out and expound a little bit more, breaking the silence, letting even parishioners know and pastors know, because there's a lot that I did not share with my husband that's in the book. I did when after the book was written. I shared with him, my highs and lows. I shared with him my disappointment, my hurt, and my pain. And the reason why I did not share that with him during the time it was happening is because these are his sheep, these are his people, and he had to be able to minister to them on the level in which God had called him to without me being that distraction. Because think about it, you hurt my wife, then I may not be that good pastor that God has called me to be. Because let's be real, they're human. And nobody wants their loved one hurt. Nobody wants anybody to mistreat them. So breaking the silence now, because we're in a better place, let's say now, than we were when I was going through that. But had I shared all of that in the very beginning of the ministry, we I know for a fact we probably would not have reached those milestones in which God had intended for us. So there were days, Dr. Annette, when I would go to church and I would minister, because I was on a praise and worship team first before I accepted my call. And I would minister to people during praise and worship, scripture and prayer, and come home and pull the covers over my head and cry because I didn't want him to see what someone had said to me, what someone had done to me. And you're trying to figure out what is it that would cause people to love the man that preaches to them, yet hate the woman that stands beside him. And they don't know that for every good man, that there's a great woman standing on the side. He could not have been the pastor that he was had it not been for having a good wife, or those things that I did in the background that when he stepped into the forefront, that he was able to project. So I think that we don't think on that level. And if I can say this with all love and admiration, that sometimes women just misappropriate their emotions, their anger, and how they feel. You're looking at me and you think I got it all together, but I don't. I have my children, I have my bills, I have my problems, I have my house. I have that man that you see that you think is perfect. He's my husband, and he's a man just like your husband or your significant other. And I think we get blindsided, and our focus is so much on the wife and how good she has it that we forget that she's still human at the end of the day. She cries real tears. She has a heart. Her emotions are just like anybody else's. So in that book, I write those different journeys, those different things that I have gone through in the book, and I want people to get that book and to read it. There may be a pastor's wife who feel like she's in it all by herself, because God knows when I was going through that, I feel like nobody else is going through this. It's me. I felt personally attacked, and it was not like that. It's just people going through their emotions and looking at me because I still have a smile on my face, but behind that smile, there are tears that are flowing. Mm-hmm.
You talk about feelings and emotions and how important it is to not allow our emotions take a front seat in our lives. Because if we do, we actually set ourselves up for failure is what we do.
Really?
So it's a blessing that you've been able to work through it. I'm sure, like you said, it wasn't easy at the beginning, but you've learned how to stay in tune with the Lord, and that will definitely help you as you are having to weather these situations with other people. And of course, we always want to do things as unto the Lord and let it be a sweet smell up unto his nostril, and not let our flesh get the best of us and say whatever it is we thinking, because the outcome would not be good. But I think it shows your maturity also.
Mm-hmm.
In honoring your husband in such a way that I'm going to save this information until due season to share it, because I don't want him to feel like he's being pulled between. So that's a great blessing, and that's a great blessing and thought to all of us, to really process things before we share them and not be in a hurry. And sometimes things just have to wait. And when they do come forward, they'll come forward in the right season, and they will bring forward the right outcome. So I definitely thank you for that. Now, you mentioned that you were a part of a collaboration. And when was the collaboration?
Last year, November. Yes,
Okay.
last November.
Last
It
year,
began in November.
Okay. And I love what you shared, because I try to tell people this all the time, especially when people decide they want to be a part of a book collaboration, and or they think they might want to write, but they're not quite sure. So it's a good opportunity to get their feet wet. I like to tell people. And if you've not been exposed to it, you should hopefully connect with a person or group that you're really going to learn some things, not just give your information and it's a done deal, but that you're going to walk away with some knowledge, some skill sets. So in that process, do you feel like you gain some needed information to help you move to the next level a little easier?
Yes, I can honestly say yes, even though for some, I called it an experience, because now even with an anthology, I can help someone to know what to look for if they are ever approached about an anthology. I went in with the trust factor, trusting that the person that brought me in was going to do everything decent and in order. Let me say that. And it didn't really happen, but I count it all joy. Let me just say that, because the experience that I gained launched me into doing what I'm doing now. Had I not engaged in that venture, I would not be now on the second and the third anthology and writing my autobiography and have written that ebook. I would not be doing what I'm doing. So I don't count it as a loss. I count it as an experience. If I look at the money, I would count it a loss. If I look at the experience that I gained from it, it is just what it is, an awesome experience. So I would tell anybody, don't do what I did. Even if it's someone you know, do the research yourself, ask questions, look at the character and integrity, know where you're going. I didn't know that I needed a contract, now I know. It's a lot of things in there that I won't get into that I did not know, but but now I know. And so now not only am I able to help myself when offered the opportunity, I can also help someone else. And so I don't count it a loss, but I count it an experience. I could choose to be bitter about it, but I choose to be better about it.
And the thing is, you gained great insights to help
So
you
much.
to build further. And also, we can't beat ourselves up about not knowing something.
You cannot.
If you don't know what you don't know until you're exposed to someone or something that lets you know that there's something more. And so until you get that exposure, you don't know it. So you go through the process, you learn what you can in that process. And then once you do understand something more, now you realize, now I can move forward and I can do things. So even though that might not be it was an experience, it may not have been the greatest experience, but guess what? It was still an experience. It still brought you to a place where you have been able to build new projects and move. And I'm sure also, normally once we start building, people start asking us for assistance.
Yes.
Because they see what we're doing. When I self-published my first book back in 2006, and I was almost ready to publish my second book not too long after, but people started reaching out to me saying, hey, I want to write a book and I want to self-publish like you did. So what I wound up doing, timing was everything, right? Because I now had this knowledge that I had to figure out a whole lot of things, because all of the great tools that are available today were not available in 2005, 2006, all of this online, AI and all of this kind of stuff, it was not available. So you didn't have all of these great coaches that you have. So it was like, figure it out, get it done, and done was better than nothing. So done was better than nothing. So I got it done. And then people started asking me to help them. Well, when people started asking me to help them, what did it mean that I needed to do? I needed to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of them for the next conversation. So then I would go research, because now more information is gradually coming out. So I would be tapping into other resources, getting the information to pass it down. So for 10 years, believe it or not, from 2006 to 2016, I was doing my own thing, other things, but I was coaching people to become self-published authors for 10 years before I officially opened my publishing company in 2016. So you never know what you're gaining and how it's going to move you to the next level. But if you stay in the process, and that's what I heard you say, I got in it, I got what I got. I realized I needed something more, but I still stayed in the process. And then staying in the process, look where I have moved to. And now that I've moved to this, I realize there's even something greater beyond this.
That is amazing. That is, oh wow, that is so beautifully said, and that is true. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why, as a belief coach, I tell people to believe in yourself, believe in what you can do. You can gain something from others, but believe in what it is you can do, because if it has been said to you, and if you feel it in your Noah, there are some things that you just feel in your Noah, and you know you're going to be who God has called you to be. It's like, for me, the book, the first day out, 80 copies went out by me. The first day out, God allowed me 80 people to invest in that. And that was like, you know, I could have said, I'm not moving, I'm not going, I'm not doing, I'm mad, I'm angry, but stay in the race, you know, stay in the race. And if I could quote a scripture that says that the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but to those that endure. See, sometimes you got to endure what don't always feel good, what don't always look good, but if you stay in the race, you will win. And I feel, Dr. Annette, I'm winning at this point in my life. I am winning. And I was telling someone, you know, I've done a lot of things, and you see that from my bio. I've done a lot of things, but this is one of the most happiest moments of my life, because I can share my pain with others to give them hope that it didn't always look good, but look at where it is now. Have I arrived? No, I'm still scratching and striving. But if you keep running, if you keep find the good in, there's some good in everything, even in what we consider the worst experience, there was some good in that. So listen, I don't know where this journey is going to lead. I may be a publisher one day, taking Dr. Annette's course and be a publisher. You know, I don't know what I'm going to be. I don't know what God's destiny is for me, but I'm going to keep doing those things, gaining that knowledge, putting that right foot forward and letting that left one follow, and opening up my mouth and speak to people that they can see that it doesn't always have to be like it was, because your latter will always be greater than your former at the end of the
That's good. And she said she might become a publisher, y'all. That's what she said. She said, I might become a publisher. This is what I have found out. God has given each of us specific people that we are to connect with. None of us can connect with everybody. Only God can do that. Only God can. Only Holy Spirit can do that. But we have a tribe of people that the Lord has connected us to. And in having that tribe of people, Patricia, that means you're going to have more information to share with them to expand in the kingdom, because we're doing kingdom work. But these
Yes.
books are kingdom work. These workbooks are kingdom work. These booklets are kingdom work. And it doesn't matter the size of the book. It matters the depth of the content that is in the book. So whether it's a book of 45 pages, we want to hopefully get more than 45 pages. But if it's a book of 45 pages and it met what the Lord said to share, then it is a book that is worth putting out and allowing people to gravitate to it and get the insights that God has given to us. So when you say that, Patricia, you just spoke that in the atmosphere. Yeah, you just spoke that in the atmosphere. So I just had to say that. Yes.
I receive. I receive. I receive.
But you are such a person who helps people. You said, like belief coach, but you help people to see who they are.
Absolutely.
In the Lord.
Absolutely.
If I were someone who had lost my way and I came to you, Patricia, what's one thing that you could tell me to maybe get me started to think about a better direction?
The first thing that I would tell you is that you are not who you think you are at this moment, because most people that come in under me in that area, they actually literally do not know who they are. They don't know what they want to do. And so, I said, I want them to go back to the place of bitterness, to the place of sorrow. And most of the time, it's because what they tried to do, what they considered was a failure. It did not work out. Let's rewind and go back, because who you were then at that very point of destruction, what you consider your demise, is who you are today. So you are still that person. You just had some minor setbacks, but every setback brings on a great comeback. And so let's go back there. Let's trace your steps back and see where we can move forward. Because at the end of the day, God does not make junk, and God does not create people to be a failure. You are who He says you are. You can be who He says you can be, and you are more than capable of doing what He says you can do. Now let's see if we can take you back to that place where you get rid of all of that clutter, move all of that out of your way, and let's begin to talk about who you are. Tell yourself who you are. And most of the time, we don't use affirmations. We don't encourage ourselves. I can tell you, like I told you when I first got on, how beautiful you look to me today. Most of the time, we don't look in the mirror and say, girl, you are bomb.com. We don't do that. But that is so important for our success, because you don't wait for somebody to tell you who you are or how you look or who you can be. Tell yourself that. And that was the hardest thing for me to do, was to look in the mirror and talk to myself and to tell this girl that she was beautiful and that she was more than a conqueror through Christ Jesus that strengthened her, that she was the apple of His eye, that she, and I love the term, the mom.com. It was hard for me to say that, because I had gone through so much and I was told that I would never amount to anything. Nobody would ever love me. Nobody would ever want me. I was a nobody. I was told all of those things. And I'm not talking about in my adulthood. I'm talking about from the time I can remember. So it was a lot of going through that. So when I ran into people who decided that they were going to tell me who I am, I've already heard that. I've passed that. So if you came to me for the first time, that's where I begin with everybody. Let's go back. Let's rewind it. And then I'm going to tell you who God says you are. You're going to tell yourself who He says you are. And we're going to move forward. We're going to work it from there. That's the whole beginning of the process of believing in yourself. I cannot expect you to believe in me. It is up to me to believe in me. I cannot expect anybody to make me happy. It is up to me to make me happy. And so that's where we begin. I take them right back to the point A.
And I think your book, Can You Handle My Truth? Can You Handle My Truth? Will solidify that for them, in that you're telling your story, you're telling your journey, you're telling what you had to endure, but you're telling that I'm an overcomer through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's exciting. That's exciting, just that concept in itself, that it doesn't matter where we began. It doesn't matter how we started. It matters where we go. It matters what we do.
Yeah. And meekness is not weakness, because, in my book, I talk about how I was pushed off of 7 steps and hit the ground, and most people said I would have come up fighting. But what good would that have done? And so you have to maintain discipline in all that you go through. You have to maintain discipline. God told Jehoshaphat, you need not fight in this battle. Most of the time, we don't know that the battle is not ours. We have no idea. And so we want to do what he can do. And he can do a better job at fighting for us than we can do fighting for ourselves. And so somebody need to hold on to that. I just felt that in my spirit. The battle is not yours. It belongs to the Lord. You just stand still and you will see the salvation. We'll see the glory in all of this. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it from Patricia Jackson. Listen, y'all. Ordained pastor, author, conference host, motivational speaker. She is a belief and transformation coach, entrepreneur, business executive. So listen, you heard what she said today. You heard the title of her book that she's going to share, Can You Handle My Truth? You can get a copy of it on Amazon. When you pull up her name, you're going to find some other resources as well. So Patricia, if you want to tell them a few other resources you have out there, as well as, is Amazon the only place to get them, or can they get them directly from you, and how? Let them know.
Actually, nothing that I've done so far is on Amazon.
Okay, see y'all?
Yeah. It's not on Amazon.
You're going to get a direct ebook from her, okay?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. It's www.BibleTruthLive.com, www.BibleTruthLive.com. Now, the ebook has not transferred over there yet, but it's on payhip.com/Patricia Jackson. Payhip.com/Patricia Jackson, all lowercase letters. But www.BibleTruth Live also has Rewrite the Letters That Heal. I have a few workbooks on all the preachers' wives that are on there. I also have anointed oil on there. It's a multifaceted of things on Bible Truth Live. So go on over and do some shopping. You're gonna be glad you did. Yeah. But don't forget, pick up that ebook, payhip.com/Patricia Jackson. You're gonna be blessed. I guarantee.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it from Patricia Jackson on today. Thank you for coming in, sharing of your life with us. And I hope great success for you as you go forward and continue building in the kingdom. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a blessing just to be here. And I love your spirit from day one when I started following you in your rooms. And I am connected. Not by blood, but I am connected because of the kindred spirit. So thank you, Dr. Annette. And I wish you the best too. God continue to bless you in all your endeavors, and that you just continue to keep on holding on. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you, sis. Love you much. All right, y'all. So remember, you are blessed to be a blessing. And I like to leave you with this final thought. Remember, you are the visible manifestation of his invisible presence. Everywhere you go, everything you do, be seen in him. Shine bright. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to Dr. Annette's Chat Podcast, brought to you by Ordained Publishing. Be sure to stay tuned in for future conversations and engagements. Check out the website, ordainedpublishing.org, and subscribe to this show on your preferred podcast app. Shout out to 95 for the production. Be blessed and be a blessing. Peace.